Hey, Amy,
Yeah, Juan.
give me that beat.
It's Baseball Shangri-La with Amy Cuevas and Juan Ramirez.
What's up, party people? She is Amy Cuevas. I am Juan Ramirez. You are listening or watching Baseball Shangri-La. Let's get the business out of the way. If you are listening on the audio portion of the show, please make sure you are subscribed to our podcast. Rate us, write us a review, help spread the word. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. Hit that notification button. Give us a thumbs up. Leave us comments. We love engaging with you guys. And most importantly, make sure you're following us on social media, on X at BB Shangri-La, on Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch at Baseball Shangri-La. Amy, ¿cómo estás?
Wow, I feel like I haven't seen you in forever. It's been, what, a week?
Yeah, you have not seen me. And since you have last seen me, the world has turned upside down for the Dodgers. And I don't know if you've been watching, paying attention to the social media.
There's been baseball?
It's been some depressing baseball. It has been depressing times. Almost, I keep saying to myself, Amy, do you even like baseball, bro?
Can I start?
There are times like this. There are times like this where I really sit there and I go, why am I even watching baseball, bro?
I mean, they're not going to win every game, right? But I did want to start this off.
Yeah, but I don't want them to lose every game, Amy.
Well, they got to get it out of their system. There was a update on X today, so I thought we'd start on a positive note, and I will try to sprinkle positivity wherever I can because, yes, we have been on a little bit of a losing streak. So,
okay, so Amy's going to give us a Care Bear stare. Before we go to the Care Bear stare, I just want to set up the show for everybody. We're going to recap the series against the Serpientes because when we last left you, that series was going on, and then we're going to recap what happened with the Rojos in Cincinnati. At the time that we are recording this, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. I don't know. Was that your positivity?
Spoiler alert. No. That wasn't my positivity.
Okay. Go ahead. I will say that at the time we are recording these episodes, the Dodgers have won a game. They beat the Metropolitans, ladies and gentlemen, in game 1 of the doubleheader in extra innings. Victory. I see what it feels like again. It's wonderful. So
are you just injecting that in your veins right now?
Yeah, I was like, what is this feeling? Like what is this salty discharge coming out of my eyes? All right. So, what is your positivity that you want to start us off with?
So totally unrelated to the Dodgers itself, but kind of two things related. So today on X, it was announced, Russell Dorsey was the one who broke the news, that the Negro League statistics will officially be integrated into the MLB database tomorrow on Wednesday, which means that legend Josh Gibson becomes an MLB record holder in multiple categories. Kind of in line with that, we just got done with Memorial Day weekend. And our very own Jerry Hairston Jr. played in the National Hall of Fame East-West Classic in Cooperstown this weekend. He played shortstop for Team East, and they're coincidentally the ones who won. So just a lot of history being incorporated now into the bigger picture. And I just wanted to start the show on a positive because I know we're going to spiral down.
Well, that would explain why Jerry was taking ground balls in the infield at Dodger Stadium this week. I know when I was up in the press box, people were trying to figure out who is this guy who's taking ground balls in shortstop. That's how bad things were going for the Dodgers. People in the press box were trying to figure out who's this new guy out there taking ground balls.
It's funny because I had my camera and I was getting pictures and I was like, that's Jerry Hairston Jr. And somebody was like, no, it's not. And I was like, yeah, it is. And somebody else grabbed binoculars and they were like, oh yeah, it is Jerry Hairston Jr. And I'm like, Jerry. Well, we now know he was taking grounders to prepare for the Classic in Cooperstown this weekend at the Doubleday Field.
And he had all the Dodgers coaches out there helping him out. Dino was out there. Ron Renicky was out there. That is. At first, I was going to interrupt your positive note by so your positivity has nothing to do with the Dodgers. But I see what you did there when you tied in Jerry Hairston. But I do think that is long overdue, and it is amazing. I don't know, I don't wanna put you on the spot, but do you know what records Josh Gibson, is gonna end up being the leader in?
No, they're saying multiple categories because at this point they haven't fully integrated. So apparently, Russell Dorsey said that Yahoo is supposed to not leak the story, but release the story. And then because they will be integrated on Wednesday, I'm sure we're going to get a bigger picture of that. But for all the stat heads out there, like what a great day! Like for anybody who loves math, more math.
Yeah, and look, this is I think this is fantastic that this is being acknowledged because one of the arguments, look, we all know Babe Ruth is a fantastic player. I mean, we have Shohei Ohtani, that's his only comp, right? But does serve as a good reminder that when Babe Ruth was doing this, he wasn't doing it against everybody. There were a lot of good players in the Negro leagues that didn't get a chance to play, and we saw
Or
how.
they did, and we didn't get to measure them because people were saying even like Ray Campanella, by the time Jackie Robinson broke the barrier, when he came up, he wasn't necessarily in his prime. And a lot of players they played in their prime in the Negro Leagues, and then by the time the integration happened, they were great players. No, nothing about that, but they could have been even more based on the stats that were being recorded at that time.
And the big, I mean, the story, whether we choose to believe it or not, was that Jackie Robinson wasn't the best. It was just based on his personality and his ability to deal with all the attention, all the scrutiny. He was best suited personality wise to go ahead and do this.
And if he
And
wasn't the best, like,
right.
he was pretty damn great, so
So I think this is a big deal, and I'm glad that you're starting off with this because it is a part of Major League Baseball that I doesn't get spoken about enough, and that is that there was a large group. I know everybody just focuses on the United States when it comes to baseball, but there's the history of baseball in Japan, and I mean we're seeing it now how Japan's become such a big part of Major League Baseball. But baseball's been played in Japan for a lot of years. Baseball's been played a lot in Mexico, in the Dominican Republic. I mean, there are a lot of probably great baseball players that we never heard of because we didn't have the luxury of someone covering them and writing stories about them that we had access to.
well,
So the
look at
fact
even
that
the World Baseball Classic, like, it got more traction. You had players clamoring to play where normally they'd like, I don't wanna get hurt or I don't wanna get injured, like, I'll pass and I'll just, I'm gonna head to spring training," where you had players who were upset that they couldn't play in the World Baseball Classic. So, the fact that that's gaining traction too, like, we are seeing more of a worldwide focus on it or a lens, and I think that that's important, especially because, the joke gets made all the time, "Oh, the World Series in the United States," and yes, we do bring in international players, but how much of the World Series is it actually when they are
yeah,
focused as they are?
it's a misnomer. It's a
Yes.
misnomer. But I am very excited. I'm a big fan of the World Baseball Classic. I'm a little disappointed that one of the regionals that was announced for the next Baseball Classic, it's going to be in Houston. So nothing on the West Coast, nothing in San Diego, nothing in Los Angeles, nothing in Arizona. Last year, and I thought they were going to rotate them. But one thing, Amy, I know we're going to talk about the doomsday that is the Doyers. I just want to say this. Miami got another regional, and the final's going to be in Miami again this
Mhm.
year. I think Miami is going to become a permanent fixture in this rotation because if you saw last year, every game was sold out. The environment was just nuts. It was very different in Miami than it was when I went to go see it in Arizona.
It
As
sounds like
selfish.
it's a good middle ground too, just between all of the countries that are participating.
Yeah, I mean, look, I would love for it to be at Dodger Stadium. I went to a couple of the games of the World Baseball Classic when Dodger Stadium was hosting them. I love Petco. I would love to, be able to see games there. But look, to me, what's more important is the growth of that event. And look, if having it in Miami, where you're going to have that type of energy and that kind of environment, is going to benefit that event, by all means, I do support it. So I'm glad you brought any other positive updates before I come at you and just this is the saddest Christmas ever coming up right now?
I think the only other one on there, it wasn't like a big deal, but like old friends of the Dodgers, like Curtis Granderson was playing, Russell Martin. I'm just looking at some of the rosters, but like there were a lot of people that were involved. CC Sabathia in that East West game, so kind of cool. I'm bummed it wasn't televised, but apparently MLB Network is going to be putting up a special on it, so maybe we'll get to see some highlights.
Somebody dropped the ball on that. That should have been
Yeah,
televised. At least at
100%.
on MLB Network, it should have been televised
I
because
spent a good half hour to 45 minutes scouring the internet trying to find out where it was going to be televised, and I mean, I couldn't find anywhere other than the 30-minute special that they're going to be hosting, and I would have watched that for sure on Saturday.
uh, again, Major League Baseball just gets in their own way. But look, I'm going to save all my negativity for what's going on with the Dodgers. So,
All right.
spoiler alert: the 5-game losing streak has ended. But let's do a little Marty McFly here, and let's get into the DeLorean, and let's go back.
Or we could
And
have a Wayne's World moment.
so the Dodgers, the doom and gloom started in at home when they faced the Serpientes, and they lost 2 out of 3. Especially those last 2 games, Tuesday and Wednesday, before they went on the road. Those were kind of brutal because we saw the early signs of the offense just going to the crapper. But I will say, I want to give you your flores, Ms. Cuevas, because you were the one that has been pointing this out, and that is a lot of the Dodgers offense when they were winning games were via the home run. And there is a crazy stat that I don't have in front of me. I should have, but in terms of what the Dodgers records are when they don't hit home runs, when they only hit 1 home run in the game, when they hit multiple home runs. Obviously, when they hit multiple home runs, they have a much better record. But it is alarming to see what their record is when they don't hit any home runs.
Well,
And
you're not wrong there because I'm just looking at some of my notes here. We won Monday and we had 3 home runs. Kike, Will Smith, and then Freeman hit that grand slam, and then bats kind of went cold Tuesday and Wednesday. Well, definitely Wednesday. The bats didn't show up at all, but you're not wrong on that home run stat.
so this shouldn't come as a surprise because, as I said, yes, because they were winning games, I think it was covering up the fact that the offense was struggling. But now they're not winning games. So it's becoming very obvious, like what is happening here. I'm going to throw some numbers out at you right now.
It didn't help that our pitching in those games against the Diamondbacks was also like that was the time that it kind of went.
Yeah, Gavin Stone didn't have. I mean, Gavin Stone, I probably had his first clunker since the Chicago series against Wrigley. But then again, I mean, Glasnow, we've seen it before with Glasnow. Is if he doesn't have his off-speed stuff, he's just a
Mhm.
different pitcher. And he didn't have it there. He didn't have it on that game on Wednesday. But
But it felt
look,
like everybody did it at the same time. Like Yamamoto gave
yeah,
up 2 on Monday, and so did Eliezer Hernandez. He gave up 2. And then you've got, let's see, who was it? Stone gave up 4, Grove gave up 3 on Tuesday, and then, everybody Glasnow gave up 3. Hernandez again gave up 1, Yarbrough gave up 2. So like the pitchers that were like lights out finally had their like off day, but they all had it in a row.
to steal a page from your book. Oh, you mean they're human? Are
Yes,
you they're
yes.
human?
And they were all human all at once.
Look, I am not down on the pitching as much as I am down on the offense. One of the, and this is, I know this is going to hurt you because you champion this guy more than anyone,
Hold on, let me
but
okay, I'm bracing myself. Go.
Will Smith is going through it. Like Will Smith is going through something. Do you remember when Will Smith was hitting 350? And to be fair, that's not who Will Smith probably is. Will
I
Smith is
mean,
not a
Monday
350 hitter.
no, he's typically in the, like, mid 200s, but, I mean, he hit a home run on Monday. He had an RBI double on Tuesday. I didn't write down if he no, nobody had anything on Wednesday. But, like, he's still showing up. It's just not what we were seeing before.
Yeah, he's showing up, but here's the problem is that I feel like because you're getting no production, and we're gonna talk about the eventual black hole that is the 7, 8, and 9 spots
You
in
mean
this
you
lineup.
mean going into Tuesday, the 7, 8, and 9 spots that were 5 for 51?
Yeah, so we're wow, you got numbers. You came in
Oh,
with receipts, didn't you? You
I
came
was
in
I
with
was I
receipts.
was listening to the broadcast today while it was working, and, I think it was Steven Nelson and Eric Harros. They were giving up some good numbers today, so I made sure to jot a couple down.
Look, all I am saying is this lineup is very top heavy. It has been very dependent because you're just not getting any production from the bottom third of the lineup. But when Will Smith, who is your cleanup hitter, goes from hitting 350 to 288, that's a problem. Shohei Otani, remember Shohei was hitting 360 at one point, and now he's hitting 329, which leads me to
He
this.
has a hamstring bruise
Right.
right now, and he is 90% recovered, but he did get hit on May 16th.
So that's what I wanted to bring to your attention. How much of that injury is really impacting Shohei? Because you know how positive my Dodger friends group is. And I got to tell you, I was ready to strangle all of them, Amy. During this 5 game stretch, I just couldn't deal with it. I just like, I get it, but the negativity, I get why you are so positive. I totally understand it because the negativity, I mean, I got a bunch of Debbie Downers, and I want to respond to them and be like, you know what? You don't have to tell me everything you're thinking.
Do you even like baseball, bro?
It is like stream of consciousness shit that is just coming through my phone where literally, hey, something just came into my mind. And I was just like, dude, I'm watching the game. I can see this. Thank you, Captain Obvious. I mean, it drives me
We need
insane.
we need a your friend group intervention.
Oh, these guys drive me insane. I just want to sit there and be just first of all, it's May. Okay. It's May. The season
Did you
is
just say
so,
it's a May?
it's a May. Okay. It's a May. I mean, the season is so long. It is
It
so
is.
long.
It is, and who was it? So they were talking about the offensive struggles today on the radio broadcast, and some of it we'll get to your loss of Muncie in a second. You were correct on that. But Eric Karros was saying just because you want to do it doesn't mean it's going to happen, and it's not that these guys aren't trying. And I know I've hearkened back to like group projects before, but like these guys are they're all playing a game of failures at the same time. And the fact that they happen to be firing on all cylinders most of the time together is in itself, to me, just amazing. And then sometimes they're all going to go on kind of a slump together, but the fact that somebody's usually hitting at some point, that's what carries the team forward. And that right there is baseball. We just lucked out because we have a lot more players that produce on a regular basis versus some of the teams out there. But I wish I had known that you were having such a rough go of these last couple games. I would have texted you some positivity.
Yeah,
I
these
would
guys
have
are so
Amazoned you over some chocolate.
these guys are so annoying, man. I'm just like, hey, I'm just checking in on you guys because apparently you guys have never seen baseball before, and you guys don't realize that it's a May. It's a May. Okay, we still have 4 months. I mean, yeah, 4 months of the season left. I mean, that is just, and this is why it's so funny because there are some people that I run into that could care less about this. And this is what's crazy is the Dodgers lost 5 games in a row, and they still have a 5 game lead in the division.
This is why I wasn't bothered. Like, I watched baseball this weekend and I was bummed. Like, I don't like to lose, but it was like, all right, on to the next game. And in the past, I have suffered from like just vomiting of the mouth to my friend group and like, oh man, what about this? What about this? And that's why this year I've just like I'm not doing that. Like, we're still winning. We still you're right. We are very top heavy in this batting order. I wrote down some stats even just from like Saturday and Sunday. Our top 5 hitters were 1 for 4 in bats in general. The bottom 4 were 0 for 2. I think 2 of them had walks. The other 2 were 0 for 3. It was pretty much more of the same on Sunday, where the top 4 got 1 hit out of, each of them, and then everybody else was 0 for 4, 0 for 3 in the 6, 7, 8, 9 spot. And They're not, but they're not Freeman. They're not Betts. They're not Shohei. Even Shohei with the hamstring issue is still producing more than, the bottom of our lineup.
This is the shit that I got this weekend, Amy. Let me show you.
Oh, no.
When Shohei hit that triple, okay, this is what I got. Is this the slowest triple you've ever seen? I'm just like, bro, the guy hit a triple. You're
He was
complaining
running with what were they calling? I couldn't
a
remember.
governor.
A
They're calling it
governor.
a governor.
Yeah,
I didn't know that the Brits were so much at the good day, governor. So.
I was like, he's wearing a governor. That's awkward. But at the same time, like, dude injured, not only hit a triple, but legged it out. I would get a Charlie horse probably on the way to second if I didn't already get it on the way to first. And that's with me stretching. I just...
Yeah. Or the endless text messages that I got that Freddie Freeman's done, that, trade Freddie Freeman.
Oh my God.
And I'm just sitting there going, and this is what's so crazy.
But that's indicative of the fan base, because that was a lot of what was on Twitter and X as well. I saw a lot of that. Freddie Freeman's done. He's at the bottom of, whatever he has in the tank. And it's like, whoa, guys, dude just hit a 2-run home run and saved the game today. Like, I think they're all right. I think it's okay.
Well, this is what, again, expectations are a bitch, right? And that is like, how realistic is this? And we take for granted how great of a season he had last year. And we expect him to replicate that. And it's like, I mean, what he did last year was just nuts. But the guy's hitting 290. Anybody would take that, and any major leaguer would ask the guy.
We have people on our team who would take that.
I was going to say, ask the 7, 8, and 9 hitters if they would like to hit 290. I mean, look, this is how bad it's been in this stretch for the Dodgers.
Taylor bunted today.
Exactly.
So I went on a bike ride before we hopped on the podcast, and I had my radio in while I was riding, and I had to not wreck my bike, fist pumping in the air, like, yes, he finally played small ball. Like, we got a run in. Like, thank you for not swinging for the fences. Thank you for looking at Dino Ebel at third base, taking the sign and bunting. And thank you, pitcher, whoever dropped and kicked that ball. Thank you on the Mets.
Look, that's how bad things are for the Dodgers. I think their hottest hitter is Chris Taylor, because Chris Taylor is finally hitting over 100.
I don't know that he's their hottest hitter. I'm gonna banish you back to your friend group for that comment.
Look at the numbers in his last 10 games. I believe he's hitting over 300.
He might be, but
he may have only 10 at bats. He may be like 3 for 10, but that would make him the Dodgers' hottest hitter during this streak.
But at the end of the day, so yeah, not great that we dropped the series with Arizona. Not great that we got swept. And might I add, just as a tiny aside with our uniform updates, Paxton in his start on Friday, I think by the first or second inning, his gray away uniform was soaked. Poor guy. But I mean, at the end of the day, like, we're still 5 games up, maybe potentially 6, depending on how it goes after these 2 games, today. So in the grand scheme, did they pull it together with the Mets in the first game? Absolutely. They're still struggling a little. They're still trying to find their footing at bats. And I think if they can get away from trying to swing for the fences every single time, I think we can move these guys over. Then we don't have people who are, the runners in scoring position that are getting left on base.
Look, to back up my Chris Taylor thing, in the last 10 games that he has played in, he raised his batting average 32 points.
Good for him. Good for him. He's capable of it. He's been looking for his swing. I hope he finds it. It sounds like he's starting to find it. Even I don't care if he has to bunt for the rest of the season. I'm going to go back to Moneyball, the movie, like, just get on base. All I care about is you getting on base and moving the next guy over. Period.
Look, there is, I mean, look, there are 2 moments that I want to talk about in this Red series, because look, sooner or later, regarding the 7, 8, 9, this is how bad it is also for 7, 8,
and
9.
I'm calling dibs on a pitching story. So
I think we're getting to the same story, but here's the deal. This is how bad it's getting, okay? In the sense that Chris Taylor now, who was basically the 26th man on this roster, is getting more playing time because Andy Pages, who everyone told me was here to stay, the minute Andy Pages came up here, everybody was like, and what did I say, Amy? What did I tell people about Andy Pages?
I don't remember.
I said, relax, take it easy. The guy hasn't been here for more than 5 minutes. What we're seeing with Andy Pages is what happened to James Outman after the first 2 months of the season last
And
year.
it happens to every rookie. Like, once they've got tape on you, once they figure you out, now they've got you. Like, at this point, I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked this is happening to him. You don't think when pitchers are facing the Dodgers that they're not studying up, and they're studying up, especially now that we have more reel on somebody like Pages, especially who was doing so well in the beginning?
Yeah, you guys remember when he was hitting over 300 and you guys all told me, oh, he's here to stay? Now, look, hey, he's hitting 225, and that's that. Now the adjustment goes to him. Obviously, the league made an adjustment to him. Now he's got to see if he can make the counter adjustment. And this is what's going to happen.
That's baseball.
There's not that much time left, because I feel probably in about a week or two, the Dodgers need to start identifying what the real issues are that they're going to address at the trade deadline. I mean, there's a list of them, but they're going to have to really now start to look at Gavin Lux. What are they going to do with second base? Because you have a theory on second base, right?
I just had a conversation with one of our listeners about this. Like, I want Gavin Lux to get his shot, but at the same time, especially with all of the just back and forth on Betts playing shortstop, which again, I do not subscribe to. The guy is an athlete. You put him anywhere, he's going to play well. But if he was getting used to playing second base and that's what he was excited about, we've got Rojas in the second game of the doubleheader tonight playing second base.
And it's so funny that you just said that, because the minute she said, again, we are recording this during the Mets-Doyers doubleheader, the minute you mentioned Miguel Rojas' name, he just doubled in a run.
Oh, I just saw that. I'm watching on the side.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I wanted to give you your credit, but
no, I'm looking at him standing on second base. Good for you, Miguel. Way to go, Miggy Rowe. I don't care where they put Mookie as long as he's happy. And honestly, throughout these last couple series, I've been keeping an eye on him, and he has been smiling in the infield. So for everybody who was concerned about that one press conference, I think he's okay. But at the same time, if we're keeping Gavin for his bat, now again, he is defensively, he is doing pretty well at second base, but people have been saying stuff about Bo Bichette potentially coming in as a trade chip. I don't know.
Have they seen his numbers? Have you seen?
I haven't actually looked at his. My first response was, I would rather have Mookie at second and Rojas at shortstop. Or vice versa. If they don't care where they play and they're both doing well, whatever. If Gavin's bat backs up his defense, great. At this point, like I think they're all doing a pretty good job defending in the infield. We do have the challenge of Max Muncy being out a little longer, and Eric Karros did mention that on the broadcast today of, are some of the offensive struggles because of the loss of Muncy. And you were the one who said oblique strain, he's probably going to be out longer than 10 days. So, Dr. Ramirez,
I'm sorry, done. What happened? I missed that. What did I say?
You said that he probably wouldn't only be on the IL for 10 days. So
who was right? Who was right in this situation?
I think it maybe was you.
Who?
You.
That's maybe? Right. And what did I say, Amy? What did they say afterwards?
With an oblique strain, he's probably going to be out longer. And what did I say to you? If you think he's going to be out longer, don't stress about it. Just expect he's going to be out longer, and don't worry about it.
But what did they say when they asked them that? Oh, you know what? It's more than likely he's not going to be back. He's in Arizona right now taking swings.
He's not taking swings right now.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. He's not taking swings, right? But they said nothing, right? They said nothing about his timetable, which is what they should have said when he went down with an oblique strain.
But this is where you're damned if you do, damned if you don't in the front office, because when they do give you a time frame, you're going, that's not realistic. That's not going to work. And then they don't give you one. And then it's like, well, what's the time frame? They can't win either way. Just know, if you know it's an oblique strain and it's going to take a while, don't expect him to be back. Just go by what the progress reports are. He's in Arizona. He's not swinging. Okay, it's going to be a little longer. There you go. There,
I
don't spiral down. It's okay.
I just don't understand why you can't say you don't know as an answer. If you don't know the answer, you don't know the answer. Because then when you make stuff up, then there are people that are going to hold you accountable and say, "Oh, but you said this." Just say, "Hey, you know what? It's an oblique strain. We're going to monitor it. We'll see when he's ready." But I know we're going to talk about this thing for a while in the next few weeks, so I don't want to spend too much time into this. I just want to touch on it because you brought it up. This is the worst time for the Dodgers to try to be interested in Bo Bichette, because in the middle of May, Bo Bichette was struggling. Okay, Bo Bichette was hitting like 211, right?
I think our guys are good though. So that's me. Like our guys are good.
Since then, Bo Bichette has almost raised his batting average 40 points. He's been on a little bit of a hot streak. All I'm saying, the reason why I'm bringing this up is the price is going up on Bo Bichette.
Mm-hmm.
Bo Bichette is a young player. So for everybody, because I hear that, I see that name also. I see it everywhere. Go get Bo Bichette. And this is what drives me crazy. Oh, yeah, because it's like the Dodgers are just shopping at the 99-cent store and they can get whatever they want for their price. And it's just like, look, the Baltimore Orioles, not that they need a shortstop, but the Baltimore Orioles have a great farm system. They have a lot of assets. The show pods. Look, we know that AJ Preller down there, he's all about fuck those kids. He doesn't care. He will trade them for whatever. So, and they already have like 9 shortstops on the show pods. It's going to be hard for the Dodgers to get Bo Bichette. The price is going to be high. But I know we're going to talk about this
we have
forever.
2 shortstops. We've got Mookie Betts and we've got Miguel Rojas, and you've got Kike who can play there. I know people will say we have Taylor. He's not my choice for shortstop, but he can fill in if you need somebody to float. We've got enough backup there. We need the offense to bolster whoever's going to play that position.
And you think that Miguel Rojas actually should be getting more playing time at second, right?
If we're trying to I do, yes. I don't want to cut Gavin Lux short. Because he is doing well defensively. Like he's been saving runs. I don't have the stat. I know, what was it like last week? I think he was ranked 4th in defensive runs saved. If he can pull that off, he did a couple great plays this weekend. If he can pull that off, great. But if we're not getting the production offensively, and again, this is where, I don't know, it's kind of a sticking point. Not everybody's going to be firing on all cylinders at once. And your 7, 8, and 9 hitters are your 7, 8, and 9 hitters for a reason. At that point, if you're worried about the top of your roster being too top heavy, then spread it out. If that doesn't work for you because you're worried that spreading it out, you're not going to be able to bring in those runs, well, you're going to have to make do somewhere. You cannot be a perfect team because that's not how baseball works. It's just not. And we're lucky that we have the 3 top hitters, potentially 4, depending on who's in there. Will Smith, Teoscar, whoever's there in that 4-hole, they've got a pretty good lineup at the top. So, we just need to do better about small ball then at the bottom end. Don't swing for the fences. Pages, Taylor, Lux, move the guy over instead.
Before you get to your pitching story, which I think I know which one you're going to, I want to just throw.
Sorry.
I just want to throw out my pitching story because it drives me nuts. And it was when you brought up James Paxton, and unfortunately, as he took a shower in his jersey and just decided to continue pitching in it. The fact that, and I think it's gonna lead into your pitching story. So I just want to say this. I felt they kept showing James Paxton on camera on Friday when he got pulled with 2 outs and a runner on first. And of course, it all went to hell the rest of that inning. My thing is this. It is May. Okay. We still have 4 months left in the season. You have a bullpen right now that is a hodgepodge because you're constantly moving people in and out. You have injuries.
We just optioned Nick Ramirez on May 17th and we re-added him today for the doubleheader.
And, but here's the thing about the fact that Roberts chose to pull him with 2 outs because a runner got on and the next hitter that came up was someone, and at that point you had the lead. You had a 1-run lead, I believe, at that point. And it was like the guy who was coming up was hot. This is what frustrates me. It is the middle of May. You don't trust the guy who statistically at that point was probably, I know he was having a bad game because the walks were rearing their head again, but James Paxton has an ERA under 3 at that point, right?
Yeah.
And here's my thing. You don't trust him to try to get it out of that inning, and let's bring in the bullpen in the 6th inning. But for you to pull him and now you're going to bring in a reliever with a runner on, I just thought that was, and then of course when it all went to shit after that, I was just like, you guys can get mad at all the relievers that came in after that point. To me, how the hell is it that Roberts couldn't trust James Paxton to get one more out in that inning? And the way he looked in the dugout, I feel James Paxton was thinking the same thing that I was thinking, that it was like, really, bro? You couldn't have left me in there to try to get that guy out?
Well, and that was like the bane of your existence where you hate like multiple people from the bullpen. And because as you've already stated, we have half of an all-star team on our IL just from the bullpen alone. Like we had
They
4
burned
more.
through 2 relievers, Amy, to get out of that inning. And
Yeah.
all because he didn't trust Paxton to get one more out. And okay, he was in, his pitch count was in the 90s. It is May. You have a
and
nice
at that
lead.
point, we're already at 5 runs. Like he's already given up 5. But again, this is where he's damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. If he leaves him in and he gives up another run or whatever happens, he's still going to get railed against. He's not going to ever win in these situations. And so he did bring in Johan Ramirez, who has been this is his 3rd team this year. So I believe I think it was Bill Plunkett who actually wrote an article about him today because Johan pitched in Friday's game, came in. I believe he hit a batter, walked a batter, hit another batter.
He hit two batters.
He hit 2. I think he hit, walked, and then hit the other one, which brought in another run.
He threw 1 strike in that inning. He clearly had no control. He had no clue where the ball was going.
2 hit by pitch. Yeah. So, and in that article with Bill Plunkett, he did mention he was trying too hard. He wanted to prove himself. It's been a rocky road. He's been on 3 teams this year. I think he was on either 3 or 4 last year. He's trying to prove himself. He was trying to do too much. That happened on Friday's game. He got brought in again for a second chance on Sunday's game, and he retired the first 2, and then he hit the next 2. And the first guy, like, it was like, oh gosh. And by the time he hit the second guy, like, I just felt for the kid. He hit 4 out of his first 8 batters. And that's when Dave Roberts walked to the mound. And these are the human moments that I love to see in baseball. I feel like we don't get very many of these, or if they do happen, they're behind the scenes, where he came up. The dude, I was looking, he's 6'4", and Dave Roberts has his arms around his neck and he's like whispering into his ear. And so he shared with Plunkett that he said, he believes in me. He believes in my talent. I'm an elite pitcher and I just need to trust my stuff. He said that was his best moment in baseball. And that was the best manager he's ever had. And he's only played 2 games for us. Baseball is hard. It cannot be easy to fail like that on the largest stage. And I'm a big fan of what's the movie For Love of the Game with Kevin Costner. Like, it is a lonely spot on that mound when you've got the team around you, but you are there on that mound and you are alone. And when you can't find it, we could see he was throwing it. He could not find the zone. So for Dave Roberts to walk out there and do that, and then the next batter, he got them out. But it was a very humbling moment for us all to watch. And I may have teared up a little bit, but I definitely didn't like to see what he went through to get there, but it was nice to hear what came out of the other side of it.
And let me give you another point of view here, and this is why they call me the Prince of Darkness. Before I do that,
Here we go.
A Perfect Game, that Kevin Costner movie starring Doyer's Spanish broadcast announcer Jose Mota. If it wasn't for Jose Mota's play in that game, Kevin Costner doesn't throw a perfect game. So shouts out to Jose Mota with excellent play in that game. I just want to point that out. I want to give you the other point of view. And this is, while I agree with you, and that was all I got were these messages, Amy, before we wrap things up on this.
Is this
show.
from your friend group?
Yes, this is from the most positive goddamn Dodger fan group that I have. They said, wow, Roberts showed a lot of empathy. Roberts is what a great human being. And it was then all followed by, he sucks as a manager, fire this guy. It lasted for 2 seconds, Amy. We could acknowledge the humanity of the moment. The fact that, how many times is like, well, yeah, Roberts believes in him, but Andrew Freeman's going to DFA his ass, when they come back to LA or once the 10 days are up. That I'm going to save that for another episode. No, let me just throw it in there real quick before we end the show. And that is this, Amy. The situation, poor Johan. I'm just like, that's got to be horrible. You have no control.
The Dodgers have brought up 27 pitchers so far this year.
And this is what I'm getting at. Nabil Crismatt, DFA'd. You still have Dinelson Lamet down there. Drew Pomerantz, who we never even saw, got DFA'd and now signed with the Gigantes. Part of this, what's going on with the bullpen right now, I think Andrew Friedman needs to share some of the blame, because you mean to tell me that Crismatt pitched that bad that you DFA'd him, and then you bring in Johan Ramirez, who, like you said, is on his third time this year? That's what I don't and it might be something to do with the contracts. Mm-hmm. If Crismatt, and if that's the case, please let me know. But if Crismatt played for a certain number of games with the Dodgers, did it guarantee their contract for the whole year? I don't know what that contract looks at, but that to me is the question that I have for Andrew Friedman. Some of these decisions that you've made with certain relievers that you have DFA'd, why were those decisions made? And because the Dodgers could use them right now.
Well, and does it come down to they look better on paper versus once they get out there and then things kind of fall apart? Are they seeing something that we're not seeing, and that's not translating to who they're bringing up? Because it feels like the ones that they have brought up, there's been a little bit of shakiness there with it. So it would be, they don't owe us an explanation for anything, but it definitely does impact the game. And I just feel for these guys' the mental health too of it. It cannot feel good to come in, not be able to find the zone, hit 2 batters, and then come back in the next time and, do the same thing and hit somebody hard. Like, there was an injury delay. And that feels like crap. It's not, there's a thing floating around Instagram where this happens in Little League, and the kid who got hit from first base comes out and hugs the guy on the mound. Yeah. We don't do that in MLB. I hope they're getting the balance that they need from a mental health perspective on the other side, but we're not like, it's okay, dude, I'm okay. Like, we're worried that, are they going to clear the benches over something like this when it's clearly an accident. So it has not been great, but it's also not great for the pitchers who are experiencing this either.
No, look, what Johan was doing on Friday was dangerous, in my opinion, because, again, the guy only threw 1 strike. He clearly had no control of the ball. And he could have hurt someone. And
is this a Syndergaard syndrome where we think we can fix this guy, and maybe we need a little more work?
That's a different story. The Dodgers thinking they can fix everybody. But I will say, let's end the show on this. I was watching that game. I was literally watching that Johan Ramirez fiasco happen right before I left my house. And then I finished watching the game at the Boiling Crab. But as I was leaving the house, I said to my wife and my kid, I said, somebody on the Dodgers is going to wear it after what happened with Johan, because even though it wasn't intentional, if you're on the other team, you have to sit there and ask yourself, hey, dude, what are you doing? Why are you putting out a guy out there on the mound who can hurt somebody? And if you're not going to pull him, then we're going to have to hit back to teach you guys a lesson. Maybe that's the wrong way to look at it, but that's how I was feeling at that time. And sure enough, Federico ended up wearing one in that game
Mhm.
at the end. Now, whether that was intentional or not, I don't know. But if I'm the Reds and I'm watching a guy who clearly has no control and he's throwing hard, like that dude is throwing hard, and I end up wearing one on my head, I'm going to be pissed. Why are you
And this
laughing
is
at me?
because men say women are emotional. Just like,
No, we're not.
okay.
No, we're not. Stop saying that.
Just like, all right, guys, your tit for tat stuff. Okay.
All right, that's gonna do it for this episode. I know there wasn't much analysis and it was more venting because it's hard times. But hey, guys, positive thinking. The Dodgers finally won a game, and we're gonna talk about the rest of this Metropolitan Series next week.
As
But for
of
now,
right now, the Dodgers are up 2. So in game 2 of a doubleheader.
how about that? They could sweep a doubleheader. So we'll leave it at that, and that's going to be the we'll catch us at this very same channel on this very same bad time. It's a cliffhanger. Will the Dodgers sweep the doubleheader?
And
Amy,
let us know what you guys think too. Like, let us know because we're in the thick of the game right now.
absolutely. Any last words before we end the show, Amy?
No, I have none.
All right. So, again, if you're listening to us on the audio portion of the podcast, please make sure you're subscribed to the podcast. Write us a review, rate us, help spread the word. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. Hit that notification button. Give us a thumbs up. Leave us comments. We love engaging with you guys. And make sure you're following us on social media, on X at BB Shangri-La, on Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch at Baseball Shangri-La. She is Amy Cuevas. I am Juan Ramirez. You have been listening or watching Baseball Shangri-La. Nos despedimos con un beso. Amy, say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye, people.